Cornelia Meyer is an economist and founder, CEO of Meyer Resources, and joins us now live. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning, Linda, and thank you for having me.
Good morning to you. So President Trump has urged European allies to go get their own oil if they face shortages. And officials acknowledge the U.S. can't guarantee the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz before ending the Iran war, even if that means withdrawing in a matter of weeks. Do you believe this is bluster, a negotiation tactic, or a real signal that the U.S. could leave an unstable Hormuz corridor behind?
I sincerely hope it's a negotiation tactic, because the worst thing for the world, for Asia, for Europe, and also for the US, is leaving that very crucial waterway in a lurch in terms of, what runs it. Generally, we would have the International Maritime Organization or the UN Organization for Maritime Law, who could sort of bring in as a regulatory force. But we now have underfunded the UN, and it would be very, very tricky to ensure security of supplies, not just oil, also LNG, also fertilizer, also byproducts like plastics, also refined products, also aluminium, which is produced 8% of it on the other side of Hormuz because of low energy costs. So this would really be a worst case scenario.
So what would it mean for energy security in Europe and also Asia? Which countries would be most impacted?
Well, I think Asia is on the front is most impacted, because more than 80% of oil products and LNG go to Asia. But it trickles down then back to Europe, because a lot of the refined products come either from the other side of the Hormuz Strait, from GCC, or are refined in Asia and come that way into Europe. So that would be really bad. And fertilizer, the whole world would be affected. The other thing is, with LNG, you would see a very brutal competition between Europe and Asia to get hold of cargoes, which again leaves the Pakistans and the poorer nations of this world in a lurch.
So if the US does withdraw in a matter of weeks and the Strait of Hormuz is not secure and just a slither of tanks are getting through compared to what traditionally got through, what is that going to mean in the power dynamics, and who controls that flow of oil, which is about 20% of the world's oil typically before this war began?
Well, yeah, it's 20% of oil, of crude and petroleum products. It is also 20%, very importantly, for especially Europe and Asia, LNG. It means one will have to find a way. I think the GCC nations will then have to talk to Iran and see how they can come to an agreement. But the GCC nations did not ask for this conflict. They warned of this conflict. They warned specifically of scenarios like the one we have now. So it will be tough. One will have to find some sort of agreement. But one leaves people in the lurch, or one leaves nations in the lurch.
And of course, we've heard the reports that there could be a possible strike on Kharg Island, which is a strategic export hub. What would be the consequences of that?
Well, if you take out Kharg Island, if you destroy the loading infrastructure, the oil fields are within Iran. Kharg Island is where Iran is the export facility of Iran, because it's deep water and big tankers can moor there. If you take that out, if you destroy the loading infrastructure, then you take out Iranian oil exports, which are about 1.5 million, sometimes more, sometimes less, barrels a day, and for some time to come. And in the current situation, we need that 1.5 million barrels a day. That's one thing. The other thing is, when I look at it militarily, if you put boots on the ground there, well, you have them sort of captured on a small territory with an experienced nation in warfare on the other side with Iran. So I'm not sure that is the best idea, but that's for greater minds to decide.
Cornelia Meyer in Bern, Switzerland. Great to get your analysis of the situation. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very much indeed, Linda.